Okay, here we are. After technical difficulties, I wanted to share this little presentation on quantum biology and how it's related. Let me just see how to play. How do I play? Review, insert. Oh my God. Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah, I found it. Okay.
Okay.
Play from current slide. So I don't know how many of you who are going to be watching the replay have seen or have heard perhaps some of the things I've been posting on Instagram. Have you, Laura Lee, seen me talk about quantum biology?
I
Do you
don't
know what quantum biology is?
that was gonna say is define it and then I'll tell you
Okay.
yes or no.
Yes. So we're looking at this because this is something scientists are now looking at, and it absolutely makes sense. It's sort of like all the puzzle pieces are coming together. So what is quantum biology? It's looking at the smallest particle of the universe,
Mhm.
applying quantum physics, quantum mechanics, entanglement theory of how everything is connected, right? From the smallest to the largest, from the micro to the macro, and realization of something that you already have learned in my class. We just didn't call it quantum biology, right? But there is this guiding force that guides all life, right? Everything into existence. So now it's literally combining the quantum physics and biology into one, okay? And seeing what are the guiding forces behind creation and behind our very existence. So welcome to the journey where the microscopic world of quantum mechanics meets human biology. So in this presentation today, we're going to explore how quantum phenomena influence our health, consciousness, and potential for healing. And I think this is very interesting, also considering that many of you who have studied with me also, well, first of all, know that we are testing people's fields, right? So oftentimes when we use the testing that you've learned in my class, which advanced training is going to go even deeper because it's going to be done over long distance, that we are using quantum testing. This is why I decided to call it holistic quantum testing. So this is why the time and space is irrelevant. Everything is happening in here and now. And this is where there is a merge, right, of our physical existence, our biology, and also the quantum theories that come into play. And also some of the vibrational things that we've done, right? Revealing vibrational frequency, testing people over long distance. How does this happen? And by the way, today's presentation, thanks to Alejandro, I just sent him what I wanted and he created the slides. So let's look at protein folding, right? A quantum dance. So in my new book, and perhaps this is something I briefly touched upon on Gaia when I talked about how even our DNA has a geometrical structure to it, right? So we've talked about how there is this guiding force behind everything, and this guiding force guides everything into shape, right? And depending on what shape it is, it will become, even though all of our cells are identical, right? It either can become a fat cell, a brain cell, a heart cell. So there is, as you know, this concept is unfolding, there is this quantum field, something, and believe that it could be this fourth state of water, right? That water could be the carrier of all information. Perhaps it's hydrogen behind it as well. So protein, in this case, folding and unfolding. So if we look at protein, so looking at quantum navigation, proteins use quantum mechanics to find their correct shape almost instantly. So how do they know that? So this is also an interesting concept. And now this has an implication in diseases. So misfolding of proteins. So if proteins take, shape, and perhaps the best way to describe it would be to look at some of the earlier work that was done by Emoto. Remember the water samples and how when he exposed the water to negative emotions or music that wasn't pleasant, the shape wasn't clear, right? Versus something that was in a state of coherence. If it was a word of, let's say, love, appreciation, or maybe Beethoven's or Mozart's symphony being played out, there was a very specific geometrical pattern that took place. So this, as we're seeing, right? So disease also could be impacted based on this misinformation or misfolding of proteins, which is linked to a lot of chronic conditions like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, cystic fibrosis, and of course, so much more. And here we have Lauren joining us. Great. And step 3 is this holds a huge potential in how we're going to treat chronic conditions, right? So understanding that quantum field geometry will play and is playing a role in how the proteins are folded and unfolded. So understanding that quantum folding could lead to new therapies for those diseases. And what I wanted to invite you, and remember, so Lauren, we're talking about how quantum biology, quantum physics has a direct impact and correlation to our biology. So in this case, we're talking about geometry. And this is something science is looking at right now. And there's some presentations, perhaps that I've mentioned at Gaia in one of the episodes on, I think it was episode 6. And it's something that I wrote about in my brand new book. But here also with all of you who are joining us today, you have seen it directly at play, because if you apply geometrical pattern, right, you can test somebody, that will have a direct impact. And this is perhaps why the disease state, or perhaps the inflammation in the body, is relieved quicker, because you're guiding from a quantum field to shift the physical biology. Okay, does that make sense, Laura Lee, what I was explaining? Okay. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, so now we're going to look into how cellular energy. So you've often heard of mitochondria being the powerhouse of the cell, but it's actually a lot more. And I'm curious to see how many of you know that mitochondria also produces water in the process.
I don't remember that from biology.
I know, because we didn't learn that at school.
All right, no.
Uh-huh. So
No.
maybe you're going to want to look at this, because this is possibly a link also to the outcome of the disease, whether or not somebody has inflammation or not. So if the mitochondria is not functioning properly, not only is the cellular energy weak, but also the water it's producing is communicating and sending information through our body, right? It's informing the rest of the cells, everything in our body, if it's in a state of coherence or not. And the way that mitochondria is doing that is through a phenomena that is called quantum tunneling for efficient electron transfer in ATP production. So this is very important information to know, because it gives us insights into how it could lead to treatments of many chronic conditions like chronic fatigue, metabolic disorders, of course, any kind of chronic illness, okay? And then, of course, genetic. So from a scientific perspective, this is something that could be applied in genetics. So for example, understanding how mitochondria uses quantum mechanics may improve genetic therapies. But of course, with quantum healer training, we're not necessarily looking at genetic applications, because you're learning tools that are way beyond, I think, that any kind of medical treatments are looking at the moment. Okay, so applying things like sacred geometry, testing people to understand what is happening to them on a cellular level and a physical level, and then merging all of those together to understand what can be done to support each individual. The one thing I did not include in this presentation is the quality of light. So some of the latest research shows that it's important to get at least 1 hour throughout the day of sunlight. So that could be first thing in the morning when the sun is rising, 10 to 15 minutes. Allow yourself to just go outside and look at the light, okay? throughout the day if you have 20, 30 minutes, and then at sunset if you have the ability. So this will recalibrate and support your mitochondrial function. Also, for people that are not able to go outside, I know I briefly talked about it in my class, and remind me, maybe it wasn't you guys, I talked in my second or third class for quantum healers. If you can take outside a glass bottle of water, okay, put it outside and let it absorb sunlight. So perhaps as you're getting ready in the morning, maybe you are outside for 10 minutes, allow for that bottle to sit out maybe up to an hour. You can leave it half a day, you can leave it for the full day, but leave it out for 30 minutes and then take it with you to work or just use it throughout the day and drink it. You can also place it. So on the bottom of the glass, I would recommend placing a geometrical symbol that is specific to you, right? As you're going to learn in the advanced training, what specific geometrical pattern will be the right pattern for you. So you can apply the geometry to structure the water as well with the light. So you will receive all the light codes. And remember, the sunlight codes are absolutely crucial for your mitochondria and your overall health and well-being. Hi, Lenka. I'm so glad you
Oh, hi,
joined.
Elena. I thought it's at 5:30 or 6:30 Eastern
No, it was 6 o'clock today.
because it shows it's on my end. It shows in
Oh,
it's 5:30, yeah. And now I got a second email and you said should be at 6. So I
oh.
apologize.
Well, thank you so much. First of all, we couldn't figure out how to share the screen, but let's leave it. So we're talking about quantum biology right now,
Okay.
okay? And then I'll answer all the questions at the end. So we're talking about how from the smallest particle, it's merging quantum physics and biology into one. And this is something that perhaps you never thought about, that you've been learning this all along with me. So right now we're talking about the cellular energy and how the mitochondria is actually one of the original microorganisms on this planet. So, and we can address that later as well. We're talking about the light codes. Okay. And also the geometry, because there is a geometry that we're seeing that is for proteins folding and unfolding. And based on how the proteins are folding and unfolding, whether it's in a state of coherence or dissonance, this is how disease state can take place. So now we're looking into DNA. Again, we're going back, and quantum mutations and repair. Again, as I mentioned earlier, is our DNA has and takes shape and is guided by, of course, this quantum field, but also the geometry. There's absolutely geometry that is undeniable, that is present in our DNA, okay? And just like I briefly mentioned that mitochondria uses quantum tunneling, right, to transfer information, you could say. So here we have proton tunneling, and that's happening in our DNA, and its quantum effects explain how protons tunnel within DNA, potentially causing mutations. So again, there is this guiding force in the field, right? But we're not just, sitting ducks basically to receive the wrong codes, right? So somewhere this misalignment and misinformation happens, right? In between the state of our ideal blueprint and our physical biology. So there is miscommunication that happens due to lifestyle toxins. I mean, we're bombarded from every angle. Our own beliefs, limiting belief systems. So there's so much in being played out. So it's important to begin to put all these puzzle pieces together of how the quantum field, and we've talked about this before, and our biology are deeply interconnected. And this is the term quantum biology, something that science is looking at. I did mention CRISPR technology. Of course, you know where I stand in CRISPR technology, but this is interesting because they are looking at quantum effects at this moment of how they can improve gene editing technology. I'll take the questions afterwards because this is being recorded. Now, and then of course, how quantum biology, okay, can be used for cancer treatment. Okay. Understanding quantum DNA repair mechanisms could lead to new cancer therapies. And this is where I believe the work that you have been learning with me to test people, and again, in the long distance advanced training that we'll be doing in coming up in January, right? January 18th, you will understand it even more because the person will not be present in front of you. So you'll be able to test others and yourself. And this is where all the information that you've been learning for the last couple of years with me will come together. And your understanding will go even deeper of how everything is so interconnected. Okay. And this is where science is headed now. Okay, I brought in this topic, which is the quantum nose, which is able to sense vibrations. So quantum tunneling may allow the nose to detect molecular vibrations rather than shapes, just shapes. So as you can see, yes, shapes, geometry plays a role, but also vibration. So we cannot separate the two. And this is the new potential field that could improve sun-based diagnostics for diseases like diabetes or Parkinson's, which I find very interesting. So this is what quantum biology or science is looking into right now. Now, how many of you have heard of magnetoreception? Does anyone know? You can raise your hand if you'd like. So, okay, great. So human magnetoreception, some call it the sixth sense. It's also linked to the quantum entanglement theory, and humans may have subtle magnetic sensing abilities similar to migratory birds. Like oftentimes you look and the birds are just, how do they know where they're going? Where are they flying? Where are they migrating from north to south in winter, right? Or in the fall. So this is linked to the magnetoreception. And in humans, it's believed that we have, or this is the theory, retinal proteins. So cryptochrome in the retina, which might play a role in sensing magnetic fields. Okay. Understanding this could help treat certain neurological navigation disorders. So this again could also be very helpful for people perhaps with Parkinson's, Alzheimer's. So there's so much potential. Now, quantum consciousness, the mind's frontier. So some of the aspects that are being addressed in quantum biology, number one is quantum coherence. And again, this is the state of coherence where particles, because we're looking at the smallest particles, right, that make up our biology, you can say. So quantum coherence is the perfect alignment or balance, because everything is vibrates and it's a wave particles, but it takes on a specific shape, you could say geometry. So that is quantum coherence, where everything is in order versus in dissonance or disease, where there is neural communication that is happening, information processing, and this is where the field that you have been a part of, exploring consciousness, okay? And this theory could revolutionize neuroscience and lead to new treatments for brain disorders. Unfortunately, for now, a lot of scientists are looking for brain disorders and consciousness in the brain, but it's a lot bigger than that. So this is where geometry, vibrations, and then creating customized testing protocols, and also protocols that serve each individual's unique biology, including their biofield, their field around them, the field of information. This is where all of it is going to come together. And this is something you have been learning. So the four aspects of quantum healing from a quantum biology is harnessing biofields. There's quantum biofields, there's cellular fields, biofields, which are responsible for cellular regeneration. Of course, energy medicine. So one of the things you've been learning with me is through Holistic Quantum Healer, this is an aspect of energy medicine. And this is very much linked to the precision medicine. And then, of course, frequency therapy through sound healing, through different vibrational frequencies that could be sent out to help reshape a person's field, or you could say realign their quantum field, their ideal blueprint, and their physical biology. So these concepts could ground alternative treatments for chronic illness or injuries in quantum science. And this is already happening because you're learning. And this is the last slide, the quantum future of human health. Of course, there's no humans present. This is not my view on it, but I just thought it's a cool picture. Alejandro found this picture because in my view, human touch is going to be very important as we head into the future. So personalized quantum medicine is at the forefront. And this is, I would say, in the next 5 to 10 years, what I'm seeing actually emerging is AI is going to take over majority of the jobs on the market. And more, I would say, jobs that are going to be needed are the ones where you can offer something that is absolutely unique and be there for each individual. Because yes, people can get things done through robotics and artificial intelligence, but there is nothing like having human one-on-one connection. And I think that's going to be needed more and more. And I believe that every one of you that has learned with me will be able to offer something wonderful to humanity. So personalized quantum medicine is all about tailored treatments based on individual quantum biological profiles. Quantum enhanced diagnostics. So this is going to be where I think AI is going to go. Ultrasensitive detection of diseases at the earlier stages. And that could be, as I mentioned, based on the sense, on the sense of smell, perhaps looking at genetic information. I was speaking to my friend, Dr. Sabine Hazan, and she said, like, already through the stool, for example, she's able to see if somebody has early stages of cancer before it's ever detected. So there's so many different ways that could be helpful. Okay. And then, of course, consciousness exploration, deeper understanding of the mind, body, and I will say soul connection and the human potential. And this is where we're headed. And I just thought this will be an important presentation because I keep putting these clips out on human quantum, or I would say the field of quantum biology, but there's not enough explanation on it. But I just wanted to bring it up to your attention because this is something you've been learning already. So this is not new, it's just a new terminology that is emerging and being popularized at the moment. But you have been in it, immersed fully for the last couple of years. Okay. So just keep in mind, sunlight is important. This is a huge part of optimizing our quantum, you could say quantum aspects with our biology. Actually, mitochondria was believed to be the original quantum computer. How many of you knew that? Yes. So if you look this up, this is a very, very important topic. And this is why I say that we are very much dependent on the day, on the light. And in order to receive those codes, yes, it's great. We're in front of our phones and our computers and we're working and we're connecting with each other, but it's just as important to be able to get those light codes by being outside. And that's why I brought in and I said, the sun is rising, go outside if you can for 10, 15 minutes throughout the day, receive the codes to optimize your quantum selves. And then if you can, or you have an opportunity to look at sunset, that's great too. But if none of those options are available, if you can do 10 minutes a day, that's great. Place a glass of water outside and let it sit there for a couple of hours. If you can't, maybe 30 minutes, bring that water with you throughout the day. If you're going out to work or you're sitting and working at home, make sure that you drink that because you're infusing your bottle of your water with light codes. Okay. And then depending on which geometrical pattern you need, you can also place it as the water is receiving the light codes. You can place that geometrical pattern underneath your glass bottle. So you have that in there as well, because based on what we're seeing with our DNA of how it's folding and unfolding, and based on this quantum tunneling that we're seeing that's linked to proteins and the communication between mitochondria, which is also through quantum tunneling, we know we need the light codes and geometry to help guide our ideal blueprint with our physical biology. And because we are bombarded from every angle at the moment, as I said, from toxicity, from stress, everyday stress in our lives, and everyone deals with stress in different ways, but it's not that we can escape it and be immune to it, right? And there's going to be more and more of that. So it's more about optimizing your own physical being by making sure that you receive the best care possible. And also your clients, your patients that are going to come to you, these are the things you can give them as tools, as simple as that. You know, if they're going to choose, okay, do I take certain supplements for a short period of time? Perhaps the best thing you can give them, the best advice, is to bring light into their body. And that is looking at the sunlight, absorbing the light codes. If it's winter and it's cold outside, you can still do that in the morning, but place your bottle of water outside and bring it into yourself. This is free. Literally, it's free. Okay. And everyone should be doing this. So I would love to hear from you now, and I'll take questions. And also, once you put it into practice, maybe let's make it to where for the next 30 days, for the next month, you do it every day. And I'd love to hear from you. How do you all feel? And if you're traveling and it's holidays, I get it. So if you skip a couple of days, it's fine. But let's make it to where you make a commitment to yourself that every day you're going to look at the daylight, at the sunlight, and also you're going to infuse water with light codes. And again, make it clear bottle of water, because all of the lights should be able to come through, okay, and not filter it out. And put it out early in the morning first thing. So if you do it 30 minutes to an hour, that's great. Some people can leave it out all day. And I don't know if there's enough evidence to show the difference, but at least, you know, if you leave it out for an hour, that will be great. But I do know that throughout the day, the frequencies and the light codes are different depending on the type of, you know, red light that you are receiving, but there's benefits to all of it. So there's a benefit to morning light, afternoon light, and evening light as well. So I'd love to hear from you in 30 days. Maybe you can post it in the community and let everyone know, like, what have you noticed as a shift in your own life? And maybe you can start jotting things down, like, okay, well, today I was outside for 10 minutes only, but then I infused my water. So I'd like for you to take notes as well. Okay. Great. Now we'll open up for questions. And thank you again for joining me here. I could not figure out how to do this presentation in Kajabi. So it wasn't, my screen wasn't sharing. So there's a little clip that's recorded on there that you probably have seen. And then I said to Laura Lee, let's just email everybody, and whoever can come will come. Otherwise, I'll send this replay for all to see. Okay. I'll take any questions you might have, or ideas or thoughts.
I have a
Go.
question.
Yes.
So you know, like when you do things with light, they recommend putting it in like a cobalt blue bottle.
I don't
So
recommend that.
so clear, like,
Yes,
and then
clear.
keep the clear. Like you
Yes.
just clear is fine. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I feel that cobalt blue is going to filter out the
Mhm.
light codes. You want to receive the light codes. You're not, when you're going outside first thing in the morning, you're not covering up yourself in cobalt blue light. And again, there's not enough studies that are done looking at the water. Maybe if you leave your water out the entire day, it could be different. But then again, you know, let's try 30 minutes to an hour. And again, you'll be using geometry as well. So maybe for
And
now,
then
choose a pattern. And then once you learn how to test yourself, then you'll be able to know which one works for you.
yeah, I'm just thinking like after you do the water though, put it in the cobalt blue to protect it. But no.
I guess you can do it afterwards, but I think let it just be. Just take that
Okay.
water with you and
Okay.
drink it. Yeah,
Okay.
you can drink
Okay.
it throughout the day like you would with a homeopathic, I guess. So if
Mm-hmm.
you put out a big bottle, you know, you can mix it maybe half and half with your regular water, so you have enough to drink throughout the day.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay. Okay, anybody else? Yes,
Yes.
very good to see you.
Yeah.
To be late. I thought it was 6:30.
Maybe,
Right.
maybe, I don't know. Maybe I was off, but anyway, I couldn't share on the, on that app. So I'm glad that you came here and
I'm
I'm
so
glad I
sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I have a question. We're
Yes.
really cold in the mornings. It's like 20 to 30 degrees, so the water would freeze sitting out. And it's hot. I will go out with my dog in the morning, but probably not longer than like 5 minutes first thing. But I do look at the sunlight.
Perfect.
Anything about the water, if it freezes, is that a problem?
So what I would recommend is putting it on your windowsill.
Okay, that's enough
So for
sunlight.
places that are very cold, yeah.
Okay, perfect.
As long as it gets that light coming through the window, first, first morning sun. But yes, wow, it's already that cold. We're going to Colorado on Friday.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I know it's cold. All right. Anybody else?
Yes, yes, hi. I have been actually experimenting with this since last meeting because last time you mentioned it. So I do it every single day. I put water outside in the morning and I usually let it sit at least for 2 hours. And some days I just leave it for entire day. I definitely noticing like the water is more alive. And I was fasting. I don't fast much, okay, but I just heard like lots of benefits. But I did it for 5 days. I was fasting and I was surprised that I was not as hungry because I feel like the water gave me lots of energy.
Because you know what? It was fueling your mitochondria.
Mm. Yeah,
That's
so I,
exactly
yeah,
right.
yeah. So I love it. I do it every single day. I cannot imagine not to do it. But my question is, do you think it has the same benefits when there is not sun outside? Let's say it's cloudy day.
I think the light is a little different, but I would still leave it
Mhm.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So
I'm
I
gonna add
couldn't remember
something.
which group, it was your group that I talked to because the other group, we didn't discuss this.
No,
So
it was
I'm,
the same group which we had meeting
was
two
it?
months ago. Yeah. You just
Okay. I couldn't
mentioned
remember.
between
Okay.
lines this, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know that I should try this.
Uh-huh. I'm
And I
so
absolutely
glad
love
you're
it.
doing
Yeah.
this. Yeah, good.
Yeah. Okay, I had another question, I forgot it.
Oh,
About the
and I
sun.
forgot to email you, which we will talk once I press stop so it doesn't go on record.
Okay, okay, yeah,
So
no
I'll
problem.
answer that. Okay. Lauren, do you have a question?
I don't have a question. I do. I read that I had read years ago that going outside first thing in the morning and just getting light into your eyes resets your circadian rhythm or regulates it, I should say.
Yes.
So I've been doing that and it's just like a habit now. But I didn't, that was interesting to find out that the light impacts you differently at different times during the day. Because I had only heard like sunset or sunrise. I didn't know that in between.
Yes, and this is why, I think it's a great idea. I mean, this is something I've learned from my Ayurvedic teacher many, many, many years ago to leave a bottle of water outside all day. So I'm not sure if it's like this ancient Indian part of their, philosophy, but there's something absolutely to it because it feeds our mitochondria and it's linked to the information that is very much needed in our mitochondria, but also our DNA. And when there is genetic mutations that happen, or disease that happens, or inflammation, it's literally lack of light particles, light codes. So I'm very curious, Lauren, if you start doing that and incorporating that in your life, how you're going to physically feel as well, because I think that will improve your health tremendously.
Yeah, I'll definitely try that starting tomorrow.
Okay, wonderful, good. All right, I'm going to.
Also, Elena, I have
Yes, go
also
ahead.
another question. When you leave the water, let's say the water is outside for 2 hours, and I had, let's say, at the evening, I had leftover and it stayed overnight. Do you have any idea for how long this water is actually infused with the life? I mean, the light, is it maybe after a certain period of time is
That I
different?
don't know because
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure the moonlight has an impact on it too, right? Because moonlight is a reflection of the sun. I don't know the
Mm-hmm.
impact of that, but maybe this is something in the future you can play with. But
Yeah.
I would separate the two. I would make sure one bottle is sunlight, and then if you want to experiment with moonlight water and see how that impacts you. But then I wouldn't mix the two. So if you
Yes.
ever want to do
But
that. Mhm.
I was more thinking like I put water inside for the night and then the water is inside for entire, let's say 1 day. Is it still like same? Is it effective still? Or it changes?
So, I mean, I think
Mhm.
so, but water loves movement. It loves energy. This is why you said that you feel like it's the water is alive. It actually tastes very different if you place it outside. So
Mhm.
perhaps make a commitment to where you drink that one container of water that you put out throughout the day and be done with it. And then the next day, put out a new one.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. So I'm going to stop recording, and this way it doesn't go